Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. I am Saada A, Alipulo, a student from the Bachelor of Elementary Education, major in General Education. And I am the second reporter. And in this video, we're going to tackle the lesson 2, which is the learners in the eyes of the K-12 curriculum. But before we start, allow me to introduce to you first our learning outcomes for this lesson. So, at the end of this lesson, you are expected to describe the characteristic of the target learners of the K-12 curriculum, identify the challenges in the teaching learning process and the possible solution to these challenges, reflect on the ways that learners will be taught in the K-12 curriculum, propose a learning style for today's learners, and suggest technology that can use for teaching of macro skill. Learners in the eyes of the K-12 curriculum. In this lesson, we can learn the role of technology and its importance to the 21st century learners. As we all know, we are now living in the modern and high technology world where the use of technology become part of our lives. We are very exposed in using ICT tools. No matter we avoid it, but we can't deny the fact that using technology is required and needed in education system nowadays. We can also learn the learner situation in this emerging technology. We won't surprise that today's learner can already know how to utilize technology, and yes, it become part of their learning process. And in this topic, it introduced to us the 4 types of learners. So, without further ado, let's start learning and know more about this lesson by continue watching this video. Types of learner in the K-12 curriculum. Well, in our generation, they call it as Generation G, a generation that the people who was born after 1997, and that was popularized by William Strauss and Neil Hohn in their books Generation that published in September 1992. The learners who belong in Generation G are probably introduced to them the utilization of technology. At the same time, teacher cannot make an effort to teach the learner on how to use ICT tools because they already know it. What teacher can thought is that how to use it properly and responsibly. Everyone knows how the technology has a big impact in teaching and learning process, and we can also observe how even the young children know how to operate the ICT tools without the presence of any difficulties. Mark Wensley calls them as the digital natives who have been exposed to technologies at a very young age and having a greater understanding of their basic concept. From here stems one of the more pressing problems in education in our time. More and more digital natives flock out of classrooms run by digital immigrants. And as what I've said earlier, Generation G is anyone born after 1997, while there is not yet a set of that generation. As of this year, 2021, the oldest member of Generation G are those who are in 24 years old, and the youngest will turn 18 this year. That means the majority of the current learners in the K-12 curriculum are part of Generation Z. Therefore, they can learn easily with the presence of technology and learn by their own. Now let's take a look for an example. A kinder pupils technology to be incorporated in their classroom experiences as well. However, there is a challenge even multitasking and taking on several tasks or activities at once. These multitasking practices may have led to some bad habits to learners, including but not limited to shortened attention span and lack of complete focus tasks. This means they may be able to process complex information but not for a very long time. Learners may become technology addicted. Young people nowadays spend more time on their gadget and social media rather than reading some actual books. The challenge for facilitating them is that they may be distracted in using a digital tools while they are in the middle of learning their lesson, and they want a quick feedback of their performance. And for our deep understanding about the characteristic of the target learners of the K-12 curriculum, and for us to be guided and aware more on our future pupils, let's watch this video. understanding about the characteristic of K-12 learners. Now, let us proceed to the 4 types of learners. While a classroom can also have a multitude of learners, they can have very different backgrounds, interests, perception. In the diverse classroom, it brings new perspective into classroom. It contains different genders, races, backgrounds, bring multiple insight and thought into a classroom. We, as a future elementary teacher, it is really important for us to know this type of learners, for us to be guided and know how we can handle them and how we can be an effective teacher using a different strategies in teaching and learning process. This will enhance a classroom discussion and learning opportunities, and learners can learn more from each other. Now, let us discuss and focus how the learners could be taught in the K-12 curriculum. We should always bear in our mind that the student is a center approach of the teacher, and the students are seen as equal when it comes to the responsibility of teaching and learning. The teacher facilitates the learners and understanding of the materials. We should always observe what their interests, needs, and abilities. By that, we can focus on their weaknesses and make it as their strength. Connecting the topic in real-life situation that will be a great help to catch their attention and be attentive during class discussion. We, as a future elementary teacher, should be expert and authority of classroom and teach directly to the learners. Remember, our future pupils are the technology literate. Measures of students' learning are not only formal tests but also more informal assessments such as group activities, portfolios, and seminar-style participation. Teaching and assessment are closely tied together as a metric of success in student-centered classroom will collaboration is delegated. Digital education in above teacher and student to be located anywhere in the world. Digital education in above teacher and student to be located anywhere in this world. Teacher, you can have more access to obtain assignment from the students and learn new ideas to this curriculum. Teacher in the modern age need to accept the challenges of addressing this in their practices. Bernice McCarthy proposed a model that describes the 4 types of learners that teacher may encounter in the classroom. So, the type 1 learner is what we call imaginative learners. Well, this type of learners are more feelings and referring to speak about their experiences, listening to others, and responding to them. With this type of learners, the students who are very active in class discussion and even they are sharing their idea in class. We can see them in classroom as very friendly, and even they don't understand, they ask for them to be understand more the lesson, and it focus on finding out why should this be learned. Basic meaning of clarify as well as personal association and involvement. They learn by listening to others and want to be involved in important issues. And educators need to create a reason for learning ideally. This reason connect new information with personal experiences and establish the usefulness of the information to the learner's daily life. And another approach for this type of learners as that teachers offers an understanding of how students' imaginations work in learning and shows how the acquisition of cognitive drive students' educational development. And this approach is unique, that is engage both imagination and emotion. The type 2 learner is the analytical learner. Well, analytical learners prefer to reflect and think. So, they are knowledge-oriented, pondering over concepts and acquiring facts. They're primarily interested in acquiring new and accurate information that leads their understanding of concepts and processes. They can learn easily by thinking through their experiences, judging accuracy of what they encounter, and examine details. They like to be alone in their own devices as they objectively look through several problems in a systematic manner. They are more comfortable without socialization or group discussion. They can easily express their ideas without the presence of others because they could find difficult to work with a large group. So, they integrate their observation into what already know. For example, when a teacher teaches the learners phonic relationship among words, for example, if a learner knows the word bath, cat, and hat, then the word mat will be easy for them to read. For that example, we can observe the analytical approach to learning that uses prior knowledge as base from the concept. We can describe and we can see how they can able to connect their prior knowledge to their new knowledge. And the type 3 learner, which is the common sense learners, where the learners prefer to think and learn by doing, interested in how things work, learn by thinking through their experiences, judging the useful of what they encounter. It is like a constructivist learners where they are make their own knowledge by experiences. They seek utility, the result, and enjoy things learning to make things work or to solve the problem. They need a closure, meet the deadline, and stay on task. Moreover, they want to do experiments, building, and creativity. Therefore, educators need to let them try and test their understanding. And besides, common sense knowledge will be used to identify topics of general interest to be taught, identify students' misconceptions that are inadequate in a certain context with the instructional materials to the learner's previous knowledge, provide suitable language to be used in the teaching and learning process. The fourth one is the dynamic learners. While this type of learners are interested in self-directed discovery, they learn from their perception and the result of their experiences. They are eager in improving their work and themselves by trying something new and challenging themselves in doing great things. And they like to work collaboratively and get result in their performance. These types of learners are rely heavily on their own institution and seek hidden possibilities. They continuously strive to grow and reach new heights, and that's why educators need to let them teach themselves and other, because in dynamic learning there are more interactive and include tasks that involve high levels of learning, engagement, and use of multi-learning mediums. For example, the learners may have built a demo website or sent our survey as part of their course. And that will be all. I hope you learned from this discussion. I am Saada Alipulo. Thank you so much for watching.